Okay. Hi, everyone. I guess I'm covered over my microphone, so maybe you don't hear me. It is January the 15th. Howdy McCoskey Talks. Good to have you back. Today, I've got a few items to go through on my lovely bullet point list. I want to talk a bit about how my food thing has been going. I talked a bit about reading the Hilton Hodema. I wanted to share some how the food is going in my life. I want to discuss a bit of the, I want to do some spiritual warfare stuff. We haven't talked for a while on that. Where our world is heading into January. I want to talk a bit about where my book project is at. And then I want to remind you, the reason I'm making this for sure today and getting it up today is that January 17th is Monday. And of course, that's the day I'm going to do a meditation, and then I'm going to post that particular night, and we'll see what other people might do if you choose to do it with me, or not with me, but on the day I'm doing it, because it has to be on the 17th. And then you can post that evening and let us know. I mean, if you got any information. So I'll go through that at the end. That'll be the last thing I'll talk about. I put the light behind me. I thought maybe I'd get a clearer screen, but it's still fuzzy. When I use the iPad, I filmed a lot of my stuff with the iPad, and it comes to that's where I get to really nice, clear, crisp videos, but they become giant files, and they take forever to upload and download and save, and so, yeah. Okay. First things first, where are we here? Food. So over the last about 2 weeks, because many of you know I've had years of digestive issues and problems, and particularly as the day gets later and later in the day, I have more and more difficult time digesting food. So I've done a couple of changes. One, I've generally started eating a bit smaller meals as the day goes on. I eat my breakfast is pretty much the same. My lunch is a little bigger, and then now my night meal is really, really small. I'm noticing a couple of things. The first is that the amount of energy and time that goes into creating a meal is almost, it's exhausting, actually. When I think about, I have tons of roots here, and just to wash and peel and boil roots for any meal, it's like a 30-40 minute project. And it's like, and especially because when you start getting ready, that's when you're hungry, and now you've got to put all this effort in and wait 40 minutes to eat. I've been finding that, at least for me, my system gets much more of a boost if instead of doing that, I eat something really, really simplistic. Like if I eat 2 crackers and some dried fruit right when I'm hungry, right when I want to eat, I notice that my body at least responds instantaneously. So it's like first I'm noticing that creating food, the process of going from I'd like to eat something to having to put together a giant amount of time to make it available is actually quite exhausting for the body. And I'm now seeing it makes way more sense that if I'm going to create something, right, that has a meal and it cooks, then you have to make sure you're going to get 2 or 3 meals out of it, because you don't want to have to recook something the next day and the next day and the next day. Just tally up all the time you've spent in your life making dinners, making lunches. It would stagger you how many years of your life have been spent simply making something for you to eat. So that's been quite interesting. I have noticed, because of course I'm in the northern climate, it's cold, it gets dark early. As soon as it gets dark, if I try to eat after it gets dark, so now it's 5:30 here where I live, when I'm making this video, it's dark out, why I have the light issue. And if I try to eat a larger meal now, doesn't matter what I do, my digestion is slow. Even if I, take Schwedenbitter and digestive enzymes, it's still slow. But I notice if I eat a really small, simplistic, easily made meal at night, I tend to have no problem with that. So it's been very interesting watching this combination of the creation of the food, the eating of the food. I have noticed that my energy level, even though I'm eating less food, it's not really any different. The roughly, and I've had to work hard, but I've shoveled snow 4 times yesterday. I'm back with the having to do the greenhouse 2 and 3 times a day and just digging out around me. So I mean 4 times I've shoveled yesterday, a couple times I've shoveled today, and my energy level's pretty much the same, no matter how much or how little I've eaten. So I get the sense that it's really important to choose, or at least I'm learning now, what foods you're eating and how much preparation time are you putting into the meal. So it makes sense if we make a giant pot of soup, massive pot of root soup. Okay, you put a lot of effort in the first one, but then you have it for like 2 or 3 straight days. Then it's just warm it up and eat it, and the body seems to respond so much better when I just I'm hungry, I want to eat something. I literally just, it's available and I eat it. It seems like the preparation time really slows down the whole process of absorbing the food and the nutrients. So I'm just leaving that there. I'm still going to I'll give you another update in like about a month as I've kind of gone through 30 more days of this and see if these food ideas and these changing of eating differently really has an impact. Speaking of food having an impact, as we move into spiritual warfare, if you live in the United States, do you live in a place where there's no food in your grocery stores? Like, I've seen a lot of videos in the last few days where like there's almost like nothing in stores, and I can't believe that people are okay with this. Of course, as we go through, I can't believe people have been okay with everything for the last 2 years, but I can't believe people, oh yeah, it'll be fine. They said 2 weeks. Oh yeah, it'll be. I don't think so. I think this is going to be how it's going to be for quite a long time. Again, the average person is so far behind what's happening out there that by the time they could even clue in, it's 10 steps gone. I hope all of you have got a little bit put away and just stored away so that you don't have to track anything down if all of a sudden you become emptied at your grocery store. I just thought I'd mention that because it's a big deal. It's a big deal, and we've got so much that's shaking down. A lot of people. I've had some a lot of nice comments recently, and some people saying things like, you should have more viewers. The stuff I'm presenting should have 10 times the viewers. And here's the thing: if you're going to be getting 100, 200,000 viewers, subscribers, you're saying things that make people happy. That's a big thing out there, and I've had some comments with a few people behind the scenes who are kind of having trouble with that. With the so many are just spinning the happy hope message on everything, with of course no real reason to do that. And I'm not doing that here. I mean, do I have some hope? Kind of. I know. This is you can't totally predict where things will go. You can only predict the likelihood of how things move in this reality. But to just constantly blast hope up people's butt to make them feel good, the only thing that creates is people coming back and buying your products and giving you money and going to your courses and going to your seminars. It's the world of the self-help guru. And that's what actually, even still on these topics, a lot of YouTube is. Or it's the fear monger, right? You've got the other side of the person who's going to just fear monger constantly. Every single thing is dangerous. Every single thing is disaster. Of course, usually that person, the fear mongerer, is also usually selling some sort of supplies, or they're selling specialized food so that you can get through the you need their 2-year supply of food to get through it. So it's like there's a product that they're selling. And yeah, I guess I have a product that I'm selling too. I have some books that I wrote. Okay. But I can't really see necessarily, other than talking about the fairs when I do that, too much of how, how anything is going to draw people to the product. So you always have to watch out when you're getting a message from somebody. Is there a product? Is there a product in the business that they're selling? And if so, how does the product match the message? If the message is completely dissimilar, if somebody is selling, survival supplies, and they're telling you, but everything's going to be great, there's going to be no problem. The next 5 years are going to be fine. There's nothing going on at all. That would actually be a person I'd want to buy survival supplies for, because actually the message doesn't match the product. They're completely different. So the point being is, if I was getting 60 or 80,000 subscribers already, I'd be curious, because I'd be wondering, why would so many people want to come and hear this message? This message is not a happy message, because things are not going to go away, and they're not going to get better, let's say soon, or like this year. And I know this is now being pumped by a lot of people. Oh, it's all changing, there's so many things happening, and there's these legal things in court, and you don't seem, probably if you're still watching this channel and watching me, you're getting it, but I'm going to say it clearly anyway. The world governments are together, and they're all in. Like, if this is poker, this is a poker game, they're all in. All their chips are in the middle. They can't back out. They can't stop now. Because if they stopped on their own, if they tried to end the hand, tried to end the game, they know they're not going to last long. That they'll go down quick. So now that they're here, they're in, and they've got to go. They're going to go absolutely 100% hard to the end. Now, theoretically, there could be a end result where, in fact, there's a major world uprising and everything gets torn down. And okay, but you have to understand, they're not going to go willingly now. It's too far gone. They're not, them and the companies involved and everything. They're too far in. They can't just back out. They can't just stop, because if they stop, they're done. I mean, like, done. New round of Nuremberg trials, right? They're done. So they know that they're going to go right. And so you have to understand, even if there may be a happy ray of light at the end of this tunnel, the destruction between here and there is going to be monumental one way or another, right? Either the whole canyon and the cave is going to go and blow, and this is going to be the poker hand of a lifetime and like a shocking end result, or the world's population that isn't dead is all going to wind up in the virtual reality, living in their headset pods and never seeing this world ever again. Now, I'm telling you this again because it's not so much that you want to stay out, at least this is my opinion, right? Don't do what I tell you to do because I'm doing it, right? I'm just sharing my world, and you can take it or leave it if it's helpful to you. But for me, I'm not so concerned about not getting into the next thing. I mean, I know I'm not getting into the next thing. I know it's just not going to happen. I'm just not going to be plugging in my consciousness to any other fake reality. It's just not going to happen. But I'm recognizing that that's what this is. In a sense, not this thing that's talking right now, whatever is a much more real version of me, plugged itself into this reality. This reality is as fake as the one that's being created. And this is a really important part of all that. This is like the gift in the insanity, okay? The gift in the insanity is The gift in the insanity is that you have to see that what is being created now, what is moving forward into the what you might call trying to make you consciously immortal in a false reality. That's this. That's this. Except obviously we're not immortal. We die here. Or we have the appearance of dying, at least, let's say. I mean, who knows? Death might happen and a screen might come up when I die and it says, do you want to play again? Same character, another character? I don't know. I mean, that's what might happen. And who knows? The last time I died here, which I remember the last death in this realm, in this particular reality, but I didn't remember getting the screen, it says, do you want to play again? And pushing the button that says yes, and same character, and I'll play me one more time and see what happens. I don't doubt that that could be literally part of the end result of the death process. Are you clicking the game, being back in here? But you have to see that what you're learning about the future realities, the future places where all of this is headed, is partially telling you about that, but it's telling you about this. It's telling you about where we are right now. And the question becomes, okay, part of it, yeah, I want to stay out of the new thing. Obviously, that would be even, we don't need another turtle to dig out of, right? I don't need another hole. I've got a hole already. We don't need another hole. It's the hole we're already in. Well, how do we get out of this one? The best way to not get into the next hole is get out of this hole. Doesn't that make sense? That if we focus on getting out of the hole of this 3D reality we're in now, this fake reality that we've been believing our whole lives, if we extricate ourselves from here, then we've maybe done the only real task we need to do, and now all of a sudden, we're like Neo waking up in the pod in the next reality, and now we have our job to figure out, okay, what's the layer of reality we've moved up to? Is that real? Is not real? Should I stick around? Should I try to figure out how I get out of that one? And again, avoid getting back in here. This makes complete sense, right? This makes complete sense. And I'm not going to go too much into matrix metaphors and whatever, but these things this is what's laying on the table. This is the positive part of all of the insanity. The positive part of the insanity and where this is headed is to get you to see where you've been, to get us to see where we've been for 30 years, or 50 years, or 200 years, or however many years we've been. I don't know why I said 30 years. Wouldn't that be weird if that's when the simulation actually started 30 years ago? But it's important to see that within this reality, they're all in. And that's part of the creation of the two-tiered system. It's part of the creation of needing to split apart the ones who aren't going to go along with this and demonize the particular group that's not going to follow the rules, that's not going to do what they're told, because you need to make them look more and more dangerous to everyone else, so that when you eliminate them, the rest of the population is saying, great, this is fantastic. Read any article now that's discussing what to do with the group who's not following the rules, and just, change the wording a little bit so it's what you would read in Georgia in the 1950s, or what you would read in the Soviet Union or Germany in the 1930s. Just change the words, and that's where we're at. And we know how those stories played out. We know what those stories were like, and we know, even though things are better in the U.S. South, they're still not great. I mean, I still growing up black in the southern United States is not a wonderful experience. Is it better than it was in 1955? Yeah, okay, but it's still not still not optimal. It's still not an optimal experience. And that's, for anyone who knows their history, just look at what happened in the 1960s in order just to create that. The unbelievable uprising and chaos and mess and push and philosophical presentations and everything else that had to happen for 10 or 15 years just to get that change, to change where we are, given that the governments are not going to back down in any way, shape, or form. You better really realize what's going on. I'm saying this because and I don't want to destroy people's hope, because in a lot of cases, hope is what keeps people living for another day. If you run out of hope, it's like, well, why get out of bed? I might as well just end it, And I'm not saying that. Because I'm trying to tell you, there's gifts in this experience, right? That's the point of what I was saying earlier. There's gifts here, but the gifts are individual. The gifts are for you. It's not for the realm. It's not for people. And the end result of all this could be some massive, shocking overturning of the whole thing, but it'll be messy. And now we got the prospect of a world war dropped on top of us as well, as if all of this craziness isn't enough. Let's drop the possibility of an actual nuclear war on top of this, and let's see how the population handles that. How it's a mentally semi-broken population already is now going to start dealing with this, along with the food shortages, which is that's going to start affecting people's minds really, really soon. But I'll give you an example of how crazy this is. There was a travel documentary that was on yesterday. And the person was traveling to a place in England that dealt with the plague in the 1600s. And the people who were in the village were talking about how exactly the same our current situation is to when they had the plague. Now, and these are people who are knowledgeable of that time. They're like, the local historians supposedly keeping the history alive of the 1600s in this area, and they think this is equal to the Black Plague. At least now, I don't know what the Black Plague really was. I don't know if it happened. I don't know what the story was. There's we could have a huge discussion on the Black Plague, and because there's a lot of questions as to what was really going on there or not. That's a really strange time if you don't believe the narrative instantaneously. But if you take the narrative at face value, which these people are, they think it's the same. Like, that is telling you, again, how far down the slope the average person is. The average person is all in with the people, with the influencers. Like they've pushed their chips in with them, in a way. They've actually, you've got to get this. All of these people, we're talking like 5 billion people of the planet, have pushed their chips in along with the controlling factors. The pot is huge. If the 2 billion of us on this side ever wind up winning, well, how many of us will be left? 2 billion probably won't make it to the end, but however many of us would make it to the end, if the hand could be finished and played out, our hand could win. The spoils would be an unbelievable win, right? It'd be a massive victory. But we're really at this point outnumbered. You're outnumbered. And we have to take all that into consideration as well. Now, that doesn't mean don't do what you're doing, don't focus on what you're doing. You know what's right for you, what you need to do, what is the right way going forward. I'm just trying to tell you that don't expect you're going to wake up on May the 10th and everything's going to be fine and wonderful, and everybody has kind of said, oh gee, sorry, we made a bit of a mistake, please forgive us, ha ha ha, here's a free donut for everybody, let's go back and have fun. No, this is going to get progressively nuttier. The Olympics are supposed to happen, the Winter Olympics are supposed to happen next month. I can't believe they're going to happen. I can't possibly believe there's going to be a Winter Olympics in 30 days. If it starts, that'll be chaos in itself, and is there going to be, is a war actually going to get created on top of this? I would put it at 50%, 50-50 right now. That's how high I would put it, because again, it's another great way of throwing another giant wrench into the psychological problems of people. It's another reason to remember, all of this craziness started at the end of 2019. What was happening in 2019? The Yellow Vest movement in France was getting to the point where it was creating serious concern. The people running the show there were really worried that, like, they were close to the storming of the Bastille and a new French Revolution. All of a sudden you have this, no one can leave their home, Yellow Vest protests stopped, done, right? Now you have something like this, which is, I mean, things are picking up around the world. The push is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And all you need is something like a giant world war, and that would stop. So I'm just making sure you've got all this in the back of your mind so that so that you're not surprised if something happens, and you can try to use it however you can to your own advantage. That's, again, how do you use this time for your own evolution? You can't save the planet. You can't save everybody. You might be able to save or help one or two close friends, but even then, that's pushing it. You know, your number one focus is yourself. Your number two focus is anyone who is close to you, who is on the same page, and they're like your your friends in walking this path. The rest, they're all in. They're all in, and they're not gonna listen to any advice on their hands now, and they can't. Because even if they could look, that's the thing. Even if you looked at their hands, and you've only got a pair of threes, you probably don't want to go all in with all this. It's too late. They can't. And they know they can't pull out now. They can't. They're in and they can't pull out. So this is going to be. We're gonna see. This is going to the end one way or another. It can't be stopped until it reaches the end. I don't know what the end is going to be. I don't know if the end is going to be. Whoever's left here is, Neo in the Matrix, in the pod, in virtual reality. That's a serious possibility. Or if we will actually see the uprising of all time, or if we will see a third surprise that nobody is expecting on the surface, and the dice get rolled, and But it's going to reach the end. This scenario can't stop halfway through. It just can't. And that's another important point. I think everyone watching this channel should understand that at least it's going to the end, one way or another, and you need to be one way or another mentally ready for the continuation. Two other quick things I'm going to share. One is, I've been talking about, should I write a novel or another book or another, and I'm really on the fence about it, because I'm like, well, if things get even crazier, who's going to have time to read a book? Like, really? Like, if we really have Russia and the United States firing nuclear weapons at each other, people are not going to be taking time at night to read some book I wrote, some new book. No, they're not. So that's one issue. Like, do we really need it? Two, looking forward into the future, one of the reasons I wrote, like, Exposing the Expositions, was my feeling was, even if things went really crazy here, 20 or 30 years in time, some of these books might make it. They'll be in somebody's attic. They'll be in an old box, and somebody will pick it out and say, what is this? This is not the history I've been taught. This, I don't, and it's kind of like these little nuggets that might be found. Part of creating, plugging in the consciousness into a virtual reality, once you do that, it means all information is controlled. All information that's outside of the reality here has to be programmed into the new reality. So anything you don't want in there, it just doesn't get programmed in. And it won't take long for just all of a sudden, certain books, certain this, they just don't exist in the virtual world, in this new reality everyone's living in. They aren't there. And if as you plug into the virtual reality, think about this. If one of the things you need to do is learn a new language, that they're going to get rid of all the current languages and they're going to have one giant universal language that is the communication tool of the virtual reality, then that means even if you unplug yourself, say say someone born tomorrow, when they unplugged, if they could unplug themselves 25 years down the road, well, they couldn't read English or German or French or Latin or Spanish or Greek or anything else. The books would just be a bunch of weird characters that they'd have no idea what they are. They'd actually have to go back from scratch, figure out how to learn the particular language to then even read the book. So I'm really, like, if anything, I'm almost thinking, if something's created, it should almost not require words. It should be something that, and I don't necessarily say it needs to be like a painting, like a Renaissance painting or something, but it should be something where you don't need language to get the information from what you're experiencing. That the thing, be it a statue, be it a painting, be it a whatever, that it's self-explanatory as long as your senses are able to sense the object properly, that there's the possibility that it will stir something within you, as opposed to any book where you must have the language. First of all, you must have the language to be able to assimilate it. So one person suggested, I did an interview a few days ago, and I was talking to them about this after the interview was over, and they had suggested they have a friend who does graphic novels. Well, maybe a graphic novel, because then you've got the combination of some language and some images. I don't know, actually. At this point, I'm kind of stuck, to be honest. Should I go forward with putting energy into another project? And then B, if the answer is still yes, now I'm really not sure what the project should be, even though, yeah, I'm a writer, and kind of when I'm writing something, I'm a little bit more alive, you might say. There's life to me. When I'm not writing, I'm a little wooden, actually. And certainly to write a novel, I would have to have a creative. That would require such a creative spark. I used to be very creative. You probably, just like you couldn't tell, I used to be funny. I used to be quite creative 30 plus years ago. And over time, that's eroded away. And so I would also have to generate a creativity, even to be able to, even if I was then going to try to write a novel, I have to generate the creativity. But probably if I'm going to try to put this information that I want to move along into any medium, there's going to have to be a creative surge, and that means you have to put yourself in a creative place. Actually, you have to, you can't be in a non-creative environment and expect to be creative. You have to. Everyone has their own ways of generating creativity, and so that's also would have to be on the list, and that's not easy to do with where we are. But anyway, I'm just updating you because some people asked or were curious, so I'm just updating you where that is sitting. Okay, the last thing. So yeah, I'm going to keep this under 40 minutes, and I will do that. So January 17th, which is Monday, is Rennes Le Chateau Day, right? For anyone who followed my Southern France series, you know that almost everything in that story of importance happens somehow where January 17th is connected into the story, whether it be what's on tombstones, what's on parchments, what Saunier does here, what painting comes out here, the January 17th date for whatever reason is just thrown everywhere. So even though I have an interview now, my Campbell interview got pushed back, so I'll be doing that on Monday. Then sometime after that, I don't know when I'll do it, but when I feel I have the energy and I've got no snow shoveling to do, I'm going to do like a journey meditation, in a sense, to look into and see if on that day there'll be some sort of new message about the Southern France story that can come alive. And then I'm going to post like 10 o'clock my time, which would be like 4 o'clock U.S. Eastern time, 9 in England, I guess. That's what I'm going to post it. With anything that came out of my meditative journey on the Southern France mystery, with the idea that maybe some of you will want to take, who've been following the series and have a real interest in this story, which will not be all of you, of course, but some of you may wish to do that. Do your own meditative practice on that day and see if some messages come up, and then that way they could be shared right away in the video. So all of a sudden on the 17th, before it's too far over, we've all shared our experiences on the day, right, on Rennes Le Chateau Day, and we see if we actually can come up with something that, if 2 or 3 pieces come together, maybe we actually can see an area, part of a jigsaw puzzle. So I just thought I would make sure this video also ends with that, so we know that you've got a couple of days to sort of pre-plan Monday's meditative practice if you want to do that. Like I say, I'm going to journey. I'm actually going to go to Rennes Le Chateau on the journey and see where. I mean, I might get taken somewhere else. Who knows what'll happen? But I'll just go there and see what gets shown to me, and then 10 o'clock I will reveal that to you. I think I have gotten through my list today. That's what I was going to talk about. I'm still waiting because I'm going to be, these things, everything I'm doing so far is staying here on this particular platform on YouTube. It's still, they go to BitChute automatically. Rob is still in the process of getting Free Voice fully up and running completely, where I can just, like, I still have to send him things and then he puts them up, so I can't, and I want to have it so that everything goes onto the platforms like within 20 minutes of each other. So depending on which one you like to watch things on, you can go there for now to your own platform that you like. I'm hoping within the next week it's available that I can also have those up at the same time that they go up everywhere else. Right now it's like it's like a day later by the time he gets it and puts it up. So just so you know, when that freevoice.io should also be I should have a little more direct access to that and sometime in the week. Not yet. Okay, that's where we're at. I'm keeping this under 40 minutes for you. Thanks for being around and sharing some information, for purchasing and reading some books, for making some donations, making some comments, making some ideas, offering some help and assistance. It's all appreciated. And you know, it's like I said, this is going to the end. We are going, whatever got started 2 years ago, is going to reach its end one way or another. What the end will be, we don't know yet. But it's not just going to magically all get better. Okay? If it's going to get better for all of us, like I say, the wave of destruction to get there is going to be monumental, because the group in power knows then they would be going down, and they're not going to go down without giving everything they got to hold on. So just be prepared for that. Be prepared that it's not probably going to get any easier. It's going to get even tougher, and they recognize that the people you see on the street, what we're calling the zombies on the street, they're all in with it. They're all in with this, because if they find out it's all been not true, that they've been lied to, on one level they know they'll crack. They'll psychologically crack. They may not be able to function here after this point. And so on some level they know they're all in with it. So keep that in mind as you go forward. We'll see you on Monday with if anything comes up or not. Even if nothing comes up from the journey, I'll still do it and say, yeah, I did it. Not really anything came, but maybe you got something. See you on Monday.